Hey team, hope you're doing well. Welcome to the bar muscle up. So today I'm going to take you through the fundamentals on how you can achieve your first bar muscle up. Let me tell you from now, it is mostly technical. So it's really breaking down the movement, working on your transition, working on your grips and your holds, and being able to pull from the false grip. Now you definitely need pull-ups, you definitely need dips. Now obviously the more that you have of those in repetitions, the stronger your pull and your ability for endurance is going to be. But frankly, if you're just looking for one rep at this point, you want to break the ice, it's just making sure that you've got a good solid 5-8 reps in both pull-ups and dips. You don't have to have some momentous amount of reps, okay? Let's get started. Okay team, so first things first, obviously a muscle up over a bar is a pull movement first and foremost. So we're going to start just with the pull-up. Actually going to first talk about the position of your shoulder blades and the scapula. We also want to make sure that we're using our lats and our back before we're using our arms. Okay, our arms are going to tire before our backs because simply the size of the muscles. So when we set up, we're going to go hands onto the bar, and this is going to be a scapular raise. So I want you to work on strengthening this ability. Now I'm feet assisted at the moment. I'm going to go from a dead hang where my shoulders are either side of my ears, and I'm going to drive up to the top. Now you notice that I'm not getting any elbow drive. All of this is coming just through my shoulder blade and my positioning through the scapula. Okay, scapular elevation and depression. Okay, this is going to be your starting point, and frankly that is your initiation. Now when we do get into the technicality of the muscle up, certainly in the beginning before you're getting a real strict one, we are going to use a bit of a momentum kick. But first things first, get onto those scapular pulls, make sure you're working that joint, you've got the shoulder mobility to help support the movement. Okay team, so we talked about initiating the pull-up. The next thing is actually performing the full rep. So we want to make sure that in this position that we're not just getting the chin to the bar, we want to make sure that we're getting right the way over. Not to the point where our wrists are changing position, we'll come to that a little bit later, but pulling to the chest as much as you can, okay? So I'm going to set up again, hands just outside the shoulders. Remember, we're focusing on the back, not the arms for the pull, so I'm going to drive through the elbows, make sure I'm engaging the lats, and I'm going to pull my chest to the bar. Okay, so remember we said about 5 or 6 reps for each one. Now at the moment, while I'm just working on strength support for this movement, I'm going right the way to a dead hang and getting my chest to the bar on each rep. Now, it's true, the further down or the closer or higher up on your, the higher up on your chest you can get, so the bar to the chest, the better, because just with the pull we're maximizing that movement and we're going to be able to pull ourselves explosively above the bar. That second stage is then going to be that transition, which we're coming to. Okay team, next up, super key thing is to this movement is the false grip, and that's what's going to enable us to comfortably get from under the bar to over the bar. Okay, and the reason being is that the way you set up is that you come in at a bit of an awkward angle, and part of your wrist is slightly over the top of the bar as you're holding on. You can almost see it like a bit of a monkey grip. Now I'm going to show you this on the bar as well. But what the reason is that we want to do this is first we want to master the grip and get used to being comfortable, because obviously we've got to hold on while we're exploding ourselves up over the bar. But second is we want to be comfortable in pulling, okay, and enabling ourselves to connect that strength through the back, through the arms, and connect it all together. So when you come over to that bar, you're going to get on top with the false grip. Okay, and we're going to work from that pulling position, and we're going to get that chest to the bar. Okay, now same thing, we want to really work that pulling power, keeping into that false grip. It's much easier on rings because of the movement, whereas the bar's fixed on here, it's much harder to hold. And you will find once you master the technique of the muscle up, this isn't entirely essential. It's kind of essential to the development of the muscle up, but it's not essential to maintaining some endurance later once you master that technique. Okay team, so your next qualification really for the muscle up is the bar dip. Now it's a little bit different to regular dips because we're not in that neutral position, and of course we're not on a bench. I don't suggest learning anything on a bench for your dips, particularly related to anything gymnastics or calisthenics. We want to get in that neutral grip or the front grip. Now we can practice this just to see where we are, and then I'm going to show you in a second a transition where we can regress and start to move towards the full muscle up. Okay, and we're going to put it all together. But first things first, we're going to look a bit of a qualification of the movement. Okay, I'm going to step up and jump. Now I'm above the bar. It's a little bit of an awkward setup. I would obviously suggest that you get a bench or something similar. We're going to work on just bar dips. So I'm going to go from a top position, shoulders back and down, pretty much ribs or stomach to the bar, and working. Now, having this tricep strength and this ability to stabilize yourself is going to be very important to getting your muscle up, because it's all good and well if you can transition, but if you can't then put the power down to push yourself up, you're not going to complete the movement. Okay team, so here's a little technique where we can put the bar muscle up together, but with the safety of the floor and not requiring so much strength to get right the way across the top. Okay, so what I've done is I've set up a barbell here. You can also use this on a Smith machine, the same setup, just getting the bar to the right height. And basically we're going to do the pull from underneath, and then we're going to jump to the top and then reverse down in a dip. Okay, and this is going to progress to our next one as well, which is really my favorite and help me get my own bar muscle up. So we're going to have a pull to the chest, and then we're going to transition, drive up to the top. Sorry for that. Then you're going to dip, control down, and drop. Come back under to that dead hang, pull, jump, and you'll notice that when I'm coming up as well, it's all going to be about this elbow transition. Both of these elbows have got to come at once. Now you're going to notice that a lot of people, when they're first learning their muscle up, they're getting one at a time. The key with this then is getting that pull to the chest. Now I'm assisting with the jump in this case, getting the transition, and then controlling back down to the bottom. Okay? Okay team, so this next drill really is your number one drill. This is going to help us build the strength that we require, and also build the strength through the range of motion. So it's a real progression on the last drill that I just took you through. The last one's good because it starts us off low to the floor, gives us a lot of comfort, stability and control over where our body is and not really worry about too much. This, however, is a bit of a setup with a bench and a higher bar. We're going to assist ourselves through the pull and the push and the transition while trying to maintain conscious, mindful movement with the transition, the double elbows, and then we're going to come down slow as we can. So we're building that strength through that bottom range of motion. Okay, so from here we're going to start, get that overhand grip, drive up to the top, keeping your shoulders back and down. So we've assisted through that top range, the upward motion, the really hard part. Now I'm transitioning, keeping the elbows nice and steady as I control down. So it's assisted up, drive up to the top, shoulders back and down, then you're going to control yourself down as slow as possible. Again, working that double arm transition, so we're avoiding later those awkward single side pulls. Okay, this negative range is going to help us build the strength that we need to help us then take us on to the next part. Okay team, so this next drill we're actually going to use a band. This is probably going to be your most satisfying drill. You can get thicker bands just like so, or thinner bands, or super thin bands. And these are going to assist us in getting our muscle up. Okay, it's going to help us build that bottom range momentum and help us drive right the way up to the top. Now, let me tell you though, the problem with bands is that bands make it the easiest, like it's the opposite. In the hardest part of the position, it's hardest with the band, and it's easiest when we get that stretch, because that stretch is going to help push us. But once we start to get all with our body weight right the way to the top of the bar, it's not actually doing anything for us much anymore. So really what we're trying to use it for is momentum. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop this band over the top. Okay, we're going to get our feet into the band. We're going to go with one. Now we're actually going to use this to help us learn a bit of motor pattern to the muscle up. So I'm going to get into that position. I'm going to kick out to the front, and then I'm going to pop up. I'm actually going to go two legs in here. So kick, pull, and transition. Okay. Now as I come down, again, I'm working that negative range, drop. Okay, I'm going to reset, get the position with my overhand grip, kick, pop, and repeat. Okay. Now, obviously it's a bit of a lighter band, but you can use then any level of resistant band to help you get your muscle up. So it can be a super thick band to give you that ultimate assistance up to the top. And then you can work down the bands. Now that's absolutely plausible and is definitely going to help you, but practice that negative drill. That's what's going to build you the strength. And then once you've got a few of these for the motor pattern, you've got it set in, you're comfortable with the movement, you can then give yourself an assistance and a go just on a regular muscle up. All right, okay team, so really the last thing to do is just practice, practice, practice. Use those bands to set that motor pattern, develop the strength through the negative range on that assisted drill that I showed you with the bench. That's your number one drill. work on the strength through your scapula and your mobility, so letting the shoulders work with the pulling motion of the back, okay? Just keep practicing, and then also nail those fundamentals, so work on your pull-ups, work on your dips. Doesn't have to be always on a bar, just getting that tricep strength and that lat strength is really gonna help you take your muscle ups to the next level, okay? Persevere, keep it going, all the best. Let me know when you get your first muscle up.